Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Nick Viall slammed by RHOC OG Vicki Gunvalson post-podcast. Nick Viall got quite the shock when he had RHOC OG, Vicki Gunvalson on the Viall files. He was then slammed by the OG of the OC post-podcast when she forgot to hang up her phone as she had called in. So, what did Vicki have to say, and more so, what was the Bachelor alum's reaction? Keep reading for further details. Vicki Gunvalson and Nick Viall should get along very well given that they are quite opinionated. He never holds back his feelings about reality television, hot topics, and even his guests. Yet, things took an unexpected turn when the OG of the OC phoned in on the latest episode of the Viall Files. She was vacationing at her home in Mexico, so she did the interview from there. Of course, it was a thrill to have her on, but not so much when she ended the call. Or, so she thought she ended the call. According to Us Weekly, Vicki thought that she had hung up, as did Nick and his co-hosts. However, she was quickly heard still on the line, unaware of what was going on. Vicki then proceeded to talk poorly about Nick, claiming she had never heard of him and just did the interview as a favor. More so, Vicki stated that it was a favor to someone's dad, but that person remains a mystery. Vicki's hot mic moment started like this. That was a favor to her dad. He's got 7 million views. Nick Viall and his crew stopped, their jaws on the floor as they realized Vicki Gunvalson had no idea she was still on the phone. She then went on to point out how she did not know Nick's name and had never heard of him. He has his own network, his own show, I've never heard of him. Nick's wife, Natalie Joy, was the co-host and was in shock the entire time. I am not okay. That gave me really bad anxiety. I was waiting for her to clock back in and be like, oh my God. After hearing what Vicki Gunvalson had to say after her interview with Nick Viall, were fans all that shocked at what she said? Furthermore, did they think it was all that bad or just typical Vicki behavior? She is so chaotic, this is hysterical. This was so chaotic. Giving Ramona for sure. We're happy you're here. Good. Family van energy. Why is this the only way you could get me to listen to Nick Viall? I just listened to this and heard the hot mic at the end and I'm screaming. Someone pointed this out which could pull everything together. I think she meant her dad Entertainment, that's the company who produces her podcast, I believe. So, if that is the case, it does not justify her not researching Nick before going on his podcast, but it clears up the dad situation. What do you think of the hot mic moment? Should Nick have hung up, or was it hilarious watching them listen in? Let us know in the comments below. Nick Viall slammed by RHOC OG Vicki Gunvalson post-podcast, a firestorm of feuds and fandom. In the world of reality TV, it's often not just the drama on screen that captivates viewers, but also the wild back and forth that happens off-screen. And in a truly unexpected twist, the latest reality TV beef has seen the Bachelor alum Nick Viall getting a dose of scathing words from none other than Vicki Gunvalson, the OG of the Real Housewives of Orange County, RHOC. The clash ignited after Nick's podcast, The Viall Files, featured some controversial comments about the RHOC star, prompting Vicki to fire back. Reality TV legends colliding. Nick Viall, who rose to fame as a finalist on The Bachelorette and later became the star of The Bachelor, has built a name for himself as a podcast host with a strong opinion on all things reality TV. On his show, he often discusses and dissects the behavior of his fellow reality stars, offering candid commentary on their personal lives, public personas, and anything else that piques his interest. Vicki Gunvalson, meanwhile, is an iconic figure in the Real Housewives universe. As the first and longest-serving housewife on RHOC, she became famous for her fiery personality, controversial moments, and her often outspoken opinions on everything from friendships to business dealings. Known for her larger-than-life presence, Vicki has never shied away from speaking her mind, so when she caught wind of Nick's comments about her, it was only a matter of time before the drama erupted. The incident, a podcast provocation. The trouble began during a recent episode of the Viall Files, where Nick Viall was discussing the state of reality TV stars and the ways in which they transition from their on-screen personas into real life. While chatting about some of the more disingenuous figures in the franchise, Nick mentioned Vicki Gunvalson in a less than flattering light. According to Nick, Vicki's public persona and her business ventures were all smoke and mirrors, a comment that clearly rubbed the RHOC star the wrong way. Let's just say, Vicki's not exactly a business mogul, and I wouldn't take relationship advice from her, either, Nick said on the podcast, followed by a sarcastic remark about Vicki's love life and her wildly unpredictable romantic history. The comments seemed innocent enough at first glance, just another reality TV star sharing his thoughts on a fellow celebrity, but for Vicki, they were a red flag that her name was being dragged through the mud by someone who she felt didn't understand her. Vicki's response, a fiery retort. Vicki didn't waste any time responding. Soon after the podcast episode aired, she took to social media with an explosive post aimed directly at Nick. In a fiery Instagram story, Vicki called Nick irrelevant, mocking him for his own failed relationships and career trajectory post The Bachelor. Nick Viall, who? Is this the guy who's still riding the Bachelor train and pretending to be an expert on relationships? Let me tell you, Nick, just because you've been dumped on national television a few times doesn't make you an expert on love, Vicki wrote, accompanied by an eye-roll emoji. She didn't stop there. In an extended rant, Vicki called out Nick for his holier-than-thou attitude and took issue with the way he spoke about her business ventures, particularly her company, Kodo Insurance, which she's run for years. Vicki, ever the self-proclaimed businesswoman, fired back, "You wouldn't know what it takes to build a business from the ground up, Nick. Maybe stick to talking about your next failed relationship instead of tearing down women who have actually built something." Stars immediately took sides, with some rallying behind Vicki for standing her ground and others defending Nick, claiming that he was just expressing his opinion in his usual candid style. Regardless of the public stance, it was clear that the feud between these two reality TV titans had escalated quickly. The fallout, social media showdown. What followed was a full-on social media battle that saw both Nick and Vicki trading barbs over the course of several days. Vicki continued to taunt Nick on her Instagram, posting clips from the Real Housewives with captions like "When you actually have a career and businesswoman greater than Bachelor rejects." Meanwhile, Nick fired back in his own way, adding fuel to the fire on his podcast. In one episode, he jokingly referenced Vicki as the OG of drama and claimed that her best days were behind her. The feud gained even more traction when a few of Vicki's RHOC castmates, including Shannon Beater and Tamra Judge, weighed in on the controversy. While some took Vicki's side, others questioned the legitimacy of the public spat, suggesting that it might all be an orchestrated publicity stunt for both Nick and Vicki to gain more attention. In the world of reality TV, drama often gets manufactured for the sake of ratings, and some fans wondered whether this was just another case of two stars playing the media for their own gain. However, regardless of whether the fight was staged or real, one thing was undeniable: the drama was absolutely captivating. A deeper look, the power of reality TV feuds. This latest clash between Vicki Gunvalson and Nick Viall highlights the unique nature of reality TV culture. In this world, stars don't just act out their personal lives for entertainment, they live in a space where everything, from their relationships to their business ventures, is under constant public scrutiny. And when someone like Nick Viall, who has made a career out of analyzing relationships and personalities, makes a comment about a veteran housewife like Vicki, it's bound to create a stir. What makes the feud particularly fascinating is the way it blurs the lines between reality and entertainment. Both Vicki and Nick are public figures who have curated their own personas over the years. They know how to play the game of celebrity and are experts at using social media to fan the flames of controversy. Whether the feud is genuine or just another piece of performance art designed to keep fans engaged, it certainly serves as a reminder of the lasting power of reality TV, where drama doesn't just stay on screen, it spills over into the real world in the most unpredictable ways. The road ahead, what's next for Nick and Vicki? For now, it seems the feud is far from over. Vicki continues to throw jabs at Nick whenever the opportunity arises, while Nick, ever the provocateur, shows no signs of backing down. Whether their war of words will evolve into something even more dramatic or fizzle out like many reality TV feuds before it remains to be seen. What is certain, however, is that both Vicki Gunvalson and Nick Viall have proved that even in the world of reality TV, they are masters of keeping the public's attention firmly on them. And as long as the cameras are rolling, or the mics are on, the drama will never be too far behind. One thing is clear, for fans of reality TV, the ongoing battle between these two is a can't-miss spectacle. Whether you're Team Vicki or Team Nick, the only certainty is that reality TV, like life, is always just one comment away from a new feud.